I needed a new slab display for card shows, so instead of buying one for hundreds of dollars, I decided to make my own. First, I needed to trim down the sheet of MDF to match the acrylic sheet that I bought because it was just a little bit off square, and instead of trying to fix that, I decided to just build around it. Now that I had the MDF cut down to size, I just had to do one more spot check to make sure everything fit nicely. For covering the MDF, I decided to go with black duck canvas, and the reason I did this is because it's very easy to use direct to film prints on it, which I can produce in my basement. That's how I make everything, t-shirts and all that, in my merch store. After getting it cut down to size, I had to go ahead and vacuum it off to get all the debris off, and then I went ahead and ran an iron over it as well to get all the creases out of it that it came with because of the shipping packaging. For the next part, I had to figure out how to create a border so I knew where to place the graphics. So I settled on painter's tape, and I used a block of wood that's going to be the same size as the trim piece for the display, just to offset that off of the sides of the box or the edges. And then I made my painter's tape box and then off to the heat press. As part of my graphic design and printing business, I have what is called a DTF printer. It means direct to film. So you have this printer that prints out a special ink on a film, which is then cured using an oven, and then I can press the film and the graphic on pretty much any fabric that you can imagine. After the graphics were printed and cured, I went over to the heat press and started prepping them to be applied to the canvas. I just do this by putting the canvas on the heat press and pre-pressing it to get any moisture out, and then laying the graphics where I wanted, then pressing them again, and voila, you have a branded canvas piece for your card display. The next day, I headed back out to the garage to actually apply the canvas onto the MDF board. For this, I just used Gorilla Spray Glue, and then I also used a pneumatic stapler with my air compressor to get everything nice and tight, stapled to the back so it's on the underside and you won't see those staples. And then we are good to go to start making the frame. Making the frame is super simple, just need 2 pieces of wood cut down to 3 feet and 2 pieces to 2, and apply them and put them together, and then we can apply the plexiglass. After spray painting the trim pieces black and waiting a day for them to dry and cure, it was time to apply the acrylic sheet. For this, I had to drill 2 holes. One is a pilot hole to go down into the trim piece so the screw didn't split the wood, and then I had to go over that hole bigger with a bigger drill bit, because if you try to run a screw through acrylic without having the proper sized hole, it will crack and break the acrylic. Next, I installed 3 sets of hinges for the lid to open, installed a handle, and then the last thing to do was install some lid support so it would open on its own when I lifted it up. And that's that, and now I have my very own branded slab display to take around to my vendor events and set it on my table to display all the slabs I have for sale, as well as any single cards that I can fit in there. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time.